The first day of Bears training camp practice is in the books, and we're here to react and break it down. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll be here every single day during training camp, so hit that subscribe button. Luther Burden III, absent. Not the headline I wanted to see today, because after the second-round pick who fell out of the first round missed all of OTAs and mandatory minicamp, the assumption was that he would be healthy. He even put a little video out on his YouTube channel showing him working out at Halas Hall leading up to training camp that would suggest he's ready to go. We didn't hear from Ben Johnson today because he doesn't talk again until tomorrow, I don't think, so maybe we'll get more clarity then. But nothing was mentioned yesterday that Luther Burden wasn't going to be ready to go. Now, maybe no one asked the right question. I don't know. This is officially a story to me now, until it isn't. Doesn't mean it's DEFCON 9. Doesn't mean anybody out there should panic. It just means that, look, OTAs minicamp is one thing. We've had 6 weeks off. Since then, it was labeled a soft tissue injury. Unless it's something severe, he should be back by now. So is it something severe? Is there something else going on? I don't really know. I don't want to make more of it than we should, but I think to act like it's a non-story would just be disingenuous at this point in time. I think it's fair to say, until proven otherwise, not only is it A, a story, but B, I think Olamide Zaccheaus probably has the inside track to be this team's starting slot receiver early on this year. A lot of times, one day of training camp, maybe he'll be out there tomorrow, and it's a non-story, and if that's the case, I'll gladly say so. But until we know that to be the case, this is officially, I think, a notable story to monitor throughout Bears training camp after he missed all of the spring time. Are you guys concerned about Luther Burden? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I have to type Y for yes. If I was scaling it 1 to 10, I'd put like a 6 or 7. I'm not panicking, but it's not a nothing burger. This is something to definitely keep a close eye on. I'm going to be monitoring it close, and we'll provide updates as we go. Speaking of the wide receiver position, another rookie receiver, an undrafted free agent, JP Richardson, continues to stand out after he had a strong OTAs during the month of May and June. Brad Biggs saying the catch of the day was turned in by JP Richardson, UDFA out of TCU. He made a one-handed grab deep down the sideline with the defensive back all over him. And on the final day of play of practice, Richardson made a nice catch across the middle. Biggs even added, and I think it's significant that he says this on the first day of training camp, he's a guy to keep an eye on that could battle for a roster spot. And I said this when they signed him, and I'll say it again. The kid just knows how to play. I've watched every single game of his the last 2 years. As you guys know, I'm a TCU alum. He's just like your prototypical slot receiver. Little undersized, not the fastest guy, but he's got great hands. He's a really good route runner, knows how to get open, knows how to find the soft spot in the zone. He also has return capability. He was the team's punt returner last year as well, so that increases his value, his ability to play on special teams. And look, there's not a world where he would make the team and Luther Burden wouldn't, but there is a world where this guy could A, push for a roster spot, and B, if Luther Burden isn't proving to be reliable, could a guy like this play over him some in the regular season? I don't know. I mean, Ben Johnson seems pretty serious when he says, listen, jobs are not going to be handed out here, and this guy just keeps making plays. So I think he, just like the Luther Burden thing is officially a story in terms of what's going on with his injury, I think JP Richardson coming off the spring he had and on the first day of training camp already standing out, this is officially a story, a guy to keep a close eye on to potentially be a dark horse to make this roster. Okay, Ben Johnson frustrated with the offense on day one of training camp. Zach Pearson tweeted out a bunch of different notes, but I wanted to single out this one here on the show. He said, Ben Johnson was verbally and visibly upset during 7-on-7 drills with Caleb Williams in the first team, stopped the drill twice after they couldn't get lined up quickly enough, eventually pulled the offense. And look, this echoes everything we've heard about Johnson since he's been here. He's not going to settle for mediocrity. He's not going to let complacency set in because, conventional wisdom could be like, it's day one of training camp. There's going to be rust. And yeah, rust is one thing, but being slow out of the huddle, not lining up where you're supposed to. Like, they're not going to settle for that. And if you don't do it right, they're going to put someone else in that can. So I'm excited that they're setting the bar very high here, even on just basic little things, because how much, especially last year, obviously throughout the Eberflus era, but especially last year and with Shane Waldron in the offense, the details were just poor. Just poor, and things, we read those reports about things were sliding during training camp, and that leaked into the season. You got to nip these things in the bud early. So, I don't think this is the point of this is to panic about the offense, but I think it's more like on the other side, it's actually to be excited that they have a coaching staff that's just not going to fuck around. Like, they're just not going to waste these reps and waste time. So I'm pretty excited about what's going on there. Ben Johnson, he's a work boots type of guy. He's not messing around, and today's show is sponsored by Brunt, the best working boots I have ever worn. Come from Brunt, and you can get $10 off today with code CHAT. As a homeowner, there's always projects around the house to work on, and Brunt's boots provide both comfort and durability required to get these jobs done. Before I found Brunt, I can't tell you how many different working boots I tried and went through. I always had foot pain, blisters. They didn't overall just offer the performance that Brunt does, just much better quality across the board. The Marin boots in particular, that's the one I own from Brunt. They're the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. They feel like a pair of sneakers, but they perform the job that is necessary, regardless of what you're doing. They are lightweight, waterproof, slip and oil resistant, heat resistant, and electrical hazard rated as well. Join the 500,000 plus customers with Brunt and join the Brunt family today, as they will let you try boots on the job risk-free. All their products have free shipping as well. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up, so they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. Get $10 off for a limited time only here with you. Use our code CHAT. That's code CHAT, C-H-A-T, at bruntworkwear.com. You can also use /chat at the end of that website, bruntworkwear.com/chat. You're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you found out about Brunt. Tell them we sent you. Bears Now by Chat Sports. That would help us out. Okay, Zach Pearson again with the note from Cole Kmet saying that Kmet was not surprised when Johnson pulled the first team off a drill after not lining up properly. Quote, that's on par for Ben. If you're not doing it right, he's going to pull you out. Again, just setting the standard high, not letting things get by. You can't let that stuff slide. Otherwise, bad habits are going to develop. Again, it's too early to worry. It's day one of camp. Typically, the offense is going to be rustier than the defense, especially when you're installing a new playbook. So I'm not panicking on that front. Now, obviously, year after year after year, what do we talk about on the show? The defense is ahead of the offense. Defense is ahead of the office. So in 3 weeks, if we've only heard about the offense having a couple of good days, yeah, like that's going to be a development at that point. But it's day one, so I'm not too worried on that front. This is pretty funny, by the way. I hope this continues from this account, 79th in the Halas podcast. Shout out to those guys. His Ben Johnson yell counter was at 4 today. So let's see what that number ends up at by the time we get to the end of camp. All right, Tmaine Edmonds, stock up. Listen, I was hopeful that Edmonds in this new scheme with Dennis Allen would be a better fit than he was with Matt Eberflus. There were good signs during OTAs, it sounded like. He made a couple of interceptions then. And on the first play of team drills today, he picked off Caleb Williams. And Dennis Allen, after practice, said that he anticipates that he'll be an exceptional playmaker for this defense, talking about his athletic profile, which has always been there. It's just the instincts part of it has been inconsistent. Said it was a good start, but we got a long way to go. And this would be a big development, man, because Tmaine Edmonds, for what he's making, $18 million per year, has not performed up to that. If he could just even perform close to that, like if he took a legitimate step forward this year and played better in this defense and created more takeaways, I mean, that would be a massive development, because him and TJ Edwards, that would really become one of the better pairings in the NFL, which is what we hoped we were getting when they signed both those guys a couple of years ago. And TJ's been rock solid. Tremaine's had moments, but it's been inconsistent, obviously. And now Ruben Hippolyte's in the mix. But Edmonds and Edwards, those are the two guys who are going to be out there, you know, close to 100% of the snaps in the nickel-based defense. So this would be huge, man. If Tmaine if he starts to live up to the contract, I mean, that's that's a significant deal heading into 2025. Okay, let's talk a little left tackle. Everybody's keeping an eye on this competition. Adam Hogue, CHGO, had a note here on that. Braxton Jones was with the first team when they lined up against Air, so there was some rust, had a false start on the first snap. He's obviously been out the last 4 to 6 months. But when they went to team drills, rookie Ozzie Trapillo got the first crack with the ones. Hogue adds, not surprising, Jones is still ramping up. And I kind of said yesterday, just because he's clear, just because Colston Loveland is clear, I wouldn't expect them to necessarily just guns blazing out of the gates. Ryan Pohl said there's going to be a ramp-up period, so they're going to limit how much Braxton's doing early. Obviously, the key will be when pads go on. Is he ready to go? Is he not? That'll be something to follow. But I do wonder, with Trapillo getting the first crack in team drills, is that at least a slight signal that he has surpassed Karan Amagaji? Because remember, in OTAs, Trapillo worked in with the ones second. It was Amagaji who got the first crack at it. Now, they rotated, like the next day it was Trapillo first, but it's just one of those little tidbits, like first day of OTAs, Amagaji went first. First day of training camp, Trapillo went first. Is that just the natural rotation, or is it a sign that Trapillo has at least slightly surpassed Amagaji at this point? Just something to keep an eye on. I would expect Amagaji to work with the ones tomorrow at least a little bit. This is a true open competition, as Ben has said, but I do think that's at least a little bit of a note that is worth taking away from. Obviously, these three guys going to compete for the job. You let me know. Who do you think wins this competition? Braxton Jones, Ozzie Trapillo, Karan Amagaji. Give us your thoughts on the comments section of this video. Okay, some other notes before we get out of here. Zay Frazier also absent. I think that's another note of why they brought in Trey Flowers. Not only is Jalen Johnson out for a few weeks, Frazier could be missing some time as well. So two of your rookies, Luther Burden and Zay Frazier, not out there today. So we'll see as the coming days and weeks go when they get back at it. Colston Loveland did participate. I don't think he was full throttle in team drills, but kind of like Braxton Jones, he's getting back out there, working back into the swing of things, so that's a good sign. And then Dennis Allen, I kind of wanted to end on this just to kind of reinforce the mindset this coaching staff is bringing, kind of an old school attitude of like, training camp will be difficult. This is not just, it's 2025 and medical science and, they don't hit as hard as they used to necessarily during camp and all of that, but they are taking a pretty serious approach. And if you remember a few years ago on Hard Knocks, when the Lions had it, Dan Campbell, you were like, this feels like an old school training camp. I think Ben Johnson, bringing in a vet like Dennis Allen, they're bringing that attitude and mindset here. Like, we're not here to just run through the motions. Like, this is going to be hard. This is going to be difficult. And Dennis Allen was having players doing up downs during individual periods today. Like, I don't know, it's like you're watching Remember the Titans or something, and they're going through the gauntlet. So, and good. This team shouldn't be above that type of stuff. They won 5 games last year. So I'm glad that they're kind of bringing an old school mentality here. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. We'll be back this afternoon with another video. Kind of wanted to circle back to some of Caleb and Ben's comments from yesterday when both spoke to the media, had some takes on that. So be on the lookout for that video later this afternoon. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily coverage during training camp, and we'll see you next time.